Hello everybody, I'm Antonia and this is Noel and we are from Boxtail Soup Theatre Company, and behind us is our set for Little Grimm Tales, which we last did on the beach in Brighton in 2020, August 2020, but we couldn't put these trees up for fear that they would blow into the sea.
Yes, exactly, and it was almost in the sea, the stage. It was right on the beach.
And in fact, when we got out the set, the props and everything, we realised that there's a moment in the show where we do the story of the elves and the shoemaker, and Noel as the shoemaker puts out these little pieces of fabric, and then the elves play about with them and they end up throwing them over their shoulder. The elves are little puppets, and on the beach, because it was so windy, they just went anywhere and everywhere. I mean, we would have definitely lost them to the ocean, I think, at some point. So we'd taped Brighton Beach pebbles into the bottoms of them. So
I think there's
a
little collection of pebbles on the windowsill over there that I can see that have been untaped from the material that we're using. So these trees are behind us because we're about to start doing this show with the trees and without the pebbles. So for real in theatres again, which is fantastic. And we'll also be doing its kind of sister show, Great Grimm Tales, which is the adult version. And by adult, you know, it's dark. It's the darker Grimm's fairy tales, whereas Little Grimm Tales is obviously family friendly. So we're going to go into rehearsals at the beginning of next week, which is very exciting. We're also working with someone new, so that's also very exciting. Looking forward to that. And then we will start our tour of both shows. All the dates are up on our website, so if you want to have a look and see if we're coming anywhere near and whether it's possible for you to come and join us at a show, that would be great. But we're basically really excited just to be kind of doing something that that we haven't done.
Touring. I mean, we literally haven't toured since. So we started. It's been quite strange actually getting the shows back out again, and we've obviously been checking them all over to make sure that all of the puppets were okay. None of them needed. There's a few little repairs that need doing, which we'll be doing after we finish this. But it's strange because we started this tour at the beginning of 2020, having obviously no knowledge of what was to come, and it was going very well. We had some lovely audiences for both shows, and we, on the 6th of March, I think it was, we did a show in Leeds, and it was sold out. It was a lovely show, and then straight after that, that was the last performance we then did before all of the lockdowns and everything. And we haven't toured since then. I mean, obviously we've gone and done Christmas productions and we've done the odd show here and there, but we haven't done a full tour since that full start effectively in 2020. So it's going to be really nice to actually go back to it, and we're visiting a lot of the venues who we couldn't go to in 2020. We've been able to reschedule them for this year, and a lot of new venues, which is really exciting and will be a lot of fun.
And so far they seem to be, from the ones that we're aware of, I think they're selling quite well, which is really encouraging.
Yes, we're first in Harrogate at the Harrogate Theatre, and I think there's one ticket left for Great Grimm and there's none left for anything else, which is nice to see, so we'll have a nice start there.
So these shows, Little Grimm Tales obviously has done a few dotted performances here and there, and we did it in Brighton, and it's gone down fantastically well with the family audiences. It's really, really fun show for us to do as well, because it's quite silly. And then Great Grimm Tales was a sellout at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2019. Got some great reviews and some great responses from audiences. And we haven't really, because we'd only just started that tour, we haven't had the chance to perhaps do that show quite as much.
No.
So really looking forward to getting that in front of audiences again as well. So yeah, it should be fun.
It should be. And I think we had a memory come up on your phone this morning, which was 3 years ago to the day when Noel had cut out the usual set model from pizza boxes for Great Grimm Tales, and we were imagining having, I think, some kind of fencing or something at the front, which in fact we got rid of. But it was just funny to see that and see how long ago it was. I mean, this is very unusual, really. We don't normally have such a massive gap between the original creation of the show and the first performances to it actually going out on tour. What we tend to do, create the show, take it to Edinburgh, and then take it on tour as sort of soon after that as we can. So it's going to be very nice. It's going to be strange. We watched the video that we've got of Little Grimm Tales yesterday to try and familiarise ourselves with it again. That doesn't feel quite so far away in our brains, but Great Grimm Tales, we're going to watch it luckily we've got a recording we're going to watch later. It's not brilliant quality, but it's good enough for us to remember
Absolutely, yeah.
what happens. And that'll be interesting because I have sort of, I don't know about you, but I have patchy memories for the show. I feel like once we start, it's always the way. Once you start, you're like, oh yeah, I remember now. I remember what happens here.
Yeah, and I think there's always for me. I think I've said this before. There's a physical memory as well.
Yeah.
Once you start getting up and doing it, you know, if I'm just sitting here, I might struggle to remember some of the lines and some. Well, I'm certain I would struggle to remember it. But once you start getting up and doing it and using the props and feeling the puppets that we were using, then it starts to come back as a sort of muscle memory. You remember where you need to go and what you were saying. And
I think particularly, well actually I was going to say particularly with Great Grimm Tales, but actually I think it's the same with all of our shows. They're very much, we always say they're a bit like a dance. So once you start the dance, you can then sort of, your body takes you to the next steps. But
yeah, you just have a feeling of like, oh yeah, this is the right direction to go. Yeah.
I think what's worrying me the most actually, I don't know about you, about starting that show again, is that I can't quite remember how everything is set up, the pre-show setup. Like I know that we were saying yesterday, there's a really cool bit, we do a story called The Girl Without Hands, and she gets her, is it a spoiler alert? It doesn't really matter. She gets her hands cut off, and we do this sort of stylized movement bit with some fabric. And I know that we preset the fabric in a special way so that it comes out beautifully, but I can't quite remember. I remember we used to joke about it, calling it rubber chickens.
Which perhaps is a clue to how it's supposed to look.
Perhaps is a clue. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm hoping that when I pick it up and sort of just go to do it at the beginning, I'll be like, oh yes,
don't think about it. Maybe we should have a conversation while you're doing it.
Yes, exactly. Just remember, or listen to an audiobook or something. So yeah.
So both of these shows, you can see behind us the trees here. It's funny for us to kind of realise that even though these shows were made a while ago, we haven't really spoken about them on the vlogs, because obviously we started doing that after.
Oh, sorry. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
After all of the lockdown and everything. So I don't think we've ever really talked about what these shows look like in detail. We've got the 3 trees for Little Grimm, and then for Great Grimm we've also got
3 trees.
3 trees. So they are connected shows. I mean, obviously they come from the same source material because they come from Grimm's fairy tales, and we read through all of the fairy tales. We read all of them. You read more than I did, but between us we read all of them.
Yeah, we did read all of them.
And we picked out the ones that we thought were appropriate and separated them for, one for the family show, one for the adult show, because obviously some of them are quite dark, and some of them are you can have a bit more fun with.
I think we have shown some of the set drawings and things in a previous vlog. I'm pretty sure that we went through some of our design drawings and stuff, and they might have been in the book. You might have seen some of the drawings.
So what I thought I might do at the end of this vlog is I'll just, when we're finished, I'll just pop up maybe a couple of the drawings from design, a couple of photos from both the shows, and then I might put a link to the trailers in the description as well if you've not seen them, so you can have a look at the trailers for the shows as well.
I think that's really probably all we've got to say about that. We're very much looking forward to starting it all up again, and we will report back on how it's going, I guess. Next week we'll have finished. By this time next week we'll be very near the end of the rehearsals for Little Grimm Tales, and then the following week will be Great Grimm Tales. So we'll see how well we remember it. I should think our new person's probably going to be better at the show than we are.
Let's hope so. Give us, some incentive.
But as always, thank you very much for watching. And if you are enjoying the vlogs, please do like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Welcome again to people who have subscribed recently. That's lovely. And we'll see you again next week.